Hello, my name is Frank McKenna, and this is a very short video demonstrating how to run a SimCenter application in a browser using DesignSafe resources. This applies to all 6 of the SimCenter applications, but today I'm just going to demonstrate it for our QuoFem application. And before I demonstrate it, I want to quickly talk about how this all works, because you have to have some understanding for me to explain what's going on. Basically, you're going to start the application by launching a Tapas job using the DesignSafe Tools and Applications page. Now, once the job starts, you are actually being provided a dedicated compute node on the Stampede 3 HPC system. These compute nodes are all Linux machines, and you're going to be accessing the compute node's desktop using NiceDCV. Now, on the compute node, a Docker image containing the SimCenter application has actually been started for you utilizing something called TAC-Aptainer. Now, this container has the user's home directory bound to the work directory of the user's TAC account. And I'll explain all this as I'm going through the demonstration. But it has consequences. First off, you do need a TAC allocation to actually run any Tapas job. So you can obtain an allocation by submitting a ticket to DesignSafe. Now, depending on Stampede 3 usage and the number of Tapas jobs that are being submitted at any one time, it can actually take some time before your job is actually running. Now, the first time you run the application, it's actually going to run 2 applications. And the second application, it will actually take a couple of minutes before the SimCenter application shows up in the desktop. Now, any files you wish to use with the application, you actually have to upload to DesignSafe before you start the application. This can be done using Data Depot and DesignSafe, and I'm going to demonstrate this to you. And finally, sometimes you actually have to resize the application before the GUI will accept keystrokes. It's not all perfect. We're using 3 different software applications to actually bring you this, and it's not perfect. So issues may arise. If you come across such, go to SimCenter discussions, read about discussions to see if somebody's already figured out the solution, or if no solution has been found, submit a new discussion. Now remember, if all is not working, you can always just run the application locally on your desktop. And if you don't need to submit a job to TAC, you actually don't need an allocation to do so. So again, let me demonstrate using QuoFem. I'm going to launch my browser. I'm going to search for SimCenter Neri. It'll bring me to the SimCenter main web page. I'm going to go to the QuoFem application. I could go research apps up here is one way. I'm going to click on this button here, research apps. Brings me this page with all our applications. I'm going to click on the QuoFem application, which brings me to the QuoFem page. There are 2 important buttons here. If we just want to download the application and run it as normally on our desktop, we would click this first button, green button. But we want to do what we're demonstrating here today is launching through the web browser. So I'm going to hit launch on this web portal. So it's this second green button I'm going to hit. This is now going to ask me to log into DesignSafe, enter my MFA token, connect to Tapas. The first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get this page right here. This is the first time I've launched any of the SimCenter applications. It needs to set up some credentials on the machine, so I'm just going to hit launch session. That's all I need to do with this page. It's going to queue and run and then just go away. Now that quick job is finished, I'm here at the start of launching my SimCenter application. I'm going to specify a runtime. This is minutes. And then this is where you have to specify an allocation. I'm going to specify DesignSafe SimCenter. This is my allocation. This is the allocation I'm going to charge against. So once I've specified the allocation, I've specified the runtime, then I'm going to hit just launch session. Again, another Tapas job has been started. This time it's the one to launch our application. We see the app queuing. Now it's running. Now the job is ready to view, and this button that was shaded green is now a solid green. So I just hit connect. Enter my username and password one more time. And I'm using this NiceDCV to remote desktop into this compute node. So here's this remote desktop. Again, the first time you run it, your application is not going to show. It takes a couple of minutes to show. But this is a Unix system. So I can bring up an X term. I can do a pwd, show my current directory. This is the home directory. To change to the work directory, I'm going to type cdw. Type pwd here. You'll see I'm on Stampede 3 work directory. I actually need to cd one more up. This directory here, the work, your username will be your work directory. I can ls here, and you see I have a number of directories already here, one of which is Stampede 3, and there's some other files. So while I'm waiting for the application to start, I'm going to upload some files to this work directory using Data Depot. So I'm going to come back to DesignSafe. I'm going to go to Data Depot. I'm going to specify the work. And here's those same directories over there. So I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to do add, new folder. I'm going to give that folder name is, say, AA, so I can quickly find it. So I've created a folder. I'm going to go to the folder, and these are where I'll upload some files to run. So I'm going to choose some files. In my home directory, I have this simple example, and I'm going to upload these files to this home directory. Just start the upload. So now I've uploaded those files using Data Depot. I'm going to go back to my compute node. If I do an ls again here, you'll see I have the directory now AA. I can cd into AA, and I can have a look at this moment frame. Emacs moment frame. This is the file I'm bringing across. So I can edit it on my own machine, or I can edit it here. So this file has some variables, has some parameters. These parameters, when I load this into Quofem, as you know, will be random variables. And I just want to quickly have a look at how I do the output. So I'm creating a results.out file and putting in line displacement as a line excel from floor displacement. That was the application starting. I just want to see what this file is. So I record 3 nodal displacements and accelerations in each of these recorders, and then I spit them out to results.out. Okay. I'm just going to close this. So here's our application. Let me run that. I could run an example by just selecting any example, but let me just quickly run through the little problem I've uploaded. So I'm going to just take the default. I'm going to run forward propagation with Dakota, 500 samples, Latin hypercube. I'm going to choose a script to run. So there's that AA directory. I just gave it AA so it would appear quickly. Normally give your names a descriptive name. So here's these, I'm going to moment2d is the main tickle script. There's no post-processing required. Random variables. We have random variables defined. They all came in as normal distributions with whatever the value, and I gave them 10%, so that's the default with Quofem. You can change them different distributions if you want, but leave it alone. EDPs, this is where I have to figure out what I'm outputting. So I'm going to output the displacements. I'm going to output accelerations. These are what's the kind of net results.out. And these are also size 3. Okay, I have UQ. Let's just cut this down to 100 so it runs pretty quick. Now I'm running the example. So there are the results. I have some data values, the typical Quofem. I'm not going to talk about this in this presentation. Let me quickly go back to the X term, just for those, once you start looking for information. So again, I'm at home. I can cdw to work. I cd ... to the work directory, not Stampede 3s. So here I have a documents folder. And in here I have Quofem. And if I ls again, you'll see I have a local and a remote. I'm going to cd into local, cd temp.simcenter. Now I should have here 100 directories, each of those where all those simulations were run. So if I need to see the simulations that were actually run, I can do it here. I'm going to exit this. I'm going to quickly exit the application, and that closes the session. Now I thought I would quickly show you starting it again. So that session is closed. So I'll come back here. We could launch it that same way. I could go to Tools and Applications. I could go to QuoFem and launch it. So we'll get the second green button, launch it again. Again, now I go straight to this thing where I just specify the allocation. I go launch session. Job is running. This is going to change to connect. Connect. Sign in again. And see, this time now that I don't have to wait minutes. That tool is already running. Quick, I could run it again, but let me just do a. So here's one actually. Yeah, so I can't actually edit type here. I'm having to resize this again. This is 5,000 samples. So I could run this at DesignSafe if I wanted to. Log in again. So instead of running the one node, I could run a number of compute nodes. Test. We could say we could do 10 here, but let's just do 2. So I'm submitting a job. So I'm actually on a compute node at DesignSafe, and so I'm submitting jobs to other compute nodes. And that's how it works. Again, to exit this DCV, I can just type exit. Before I do, let me just show you, somehow you lose this screen, and you want to know how can you get back there. If you come to this job status in Tools and Applications, or it's actually, you can come up here, you'll see that this thing is open. So I can also connect straight to it here. So this will bring me back to that same interactive. And that's where I was. And one last thing to note, I can exit this here. So this has now killed that application. This will eventually catch up. It's not quite there yet. But at any time, if I just wanted to say, here's an earlier one I did, if I just want to run that same thing again, I could just hit relaunch here, and I don't have to fill in that form with the allocation and the number of minutes. It will automatically take those inputs and just launch the application. So this is the quick way to relaunch. You just come to the job status, hit relaunch, and again, it will relaunch with this allocation provided and the number of minutes provided. So that is demonstrating QuoFem running in a web browser. Thank you for your time.